My name is Ryan Hoyme, and this is Massage Nerd. What I'm going to be going over today is rattan massage. So these are actually made out of rattan, is what they're made out of. It kind of looks like bamboo, but if you look here, bamboo is actually hollow, and it kind of looks the same as what it does. But rattan is a lot lighter, and it's solid. And with these tools, it has more of a satin finish, but they're sanded first, and then it's a satin finish. So it glides really nicely on the body for these kind of tools. And here's some smaller ones, as you can see here. But these work great for placing right in your hands when you're massaging, and you can even roll on the body too, like this, just going back and forth. These other ones are about the same size, but they're half. So it's basically one, like this, and half. So you can place it in your hand a lot easier, and it's not going to slip as much. So when you go like this, you can glide on the body really nice. So it's like a body's natural steamroller is what you're using. And these longer ones, these are more for like the shoulder region or full body techniques. But this is for many areas of the body, as you can see for the size. But this, about the same length, but you can see it's only half. But it's going to stay on your hands a lot easier, so it's not going to slip as much, so it's not going to roll, so it's going to get more of that, more glide on the body. But some people will cut these in half, so you can even have two of them, and you can hold two of them together, like this. But with the true bamboo, you can even go hold it like this to massage the body. We'll be using those kind of techniques. And some people will use a little depultment. But with these kind of sticks, you want to make sure you put the sheet on the body, and then you can strike the body kind of lightly, so it's not exposed, so it's not going to get any kind of a burn at all when you're striking the body for these kind of techniques. But these I actually made myself. So these are bamboo, and this is hollow in here, but this is the way it is on any of the rounded areas here. So right here, as you can see, it's hollow, but right here it's kind of stops just because of this groove right here. But with this, I actually bought these off the internet, but it was a long stick, and I cut them in half. And what you want to do too is sand the edges, just make sure you don't get any splinters on the client at all. Then. But it's a lot easier for, again, the rattan is a lot more safer and lots more softer on the body. And again, these are satin finish. And it's better not to have any kind of stain on there, so it's more of just a satin finish on there, just to be safe then. So let's get started. First one I'm going to be demonstrating is with these. So you can see it's actually a full one, but just cut right down the center. And these work really nice because it's not going to slide out of your hand at all, like this. But the only thing you got to be careful of is make sure you're not putting any pressure on the vertebrae here or on the scapula right here. So when you're going around, you can go like this and you kind of turn it when you're going around this way then. You can even go both like this, or pulling it up this kind of direction. A really nice area is right around the quadratus laborum. I'm going to go right around here. And it looks like I'm using my palm just because you can't see this at all. But I'll lift up my palm every now and then, so make sure it reminds you that I'm using this then. So again, some people will use two at one time, and some people just use one, or some people will use one hand to work on the oil and the other one to kind of smooth everything out then. And if you want to use the flat edge, you just got to be a little bit careful with this. So you can use it, but just make sure you're not butting up against the scapula here, because it can feel like a pinch. And again, these areas are smooth around here. So you can even use the side of it too. And if you ever heard of the term gauchois, it's a scraping method that Asian medicine uses. But they're scraping the areas, and they usually put like a tiger balm on there or like a Vicks, and they're scraping the area. So if you're having problems, especially like right in the chest area, that's where they're going to scrape to get that stuff a little bit deeper if you have a cold. So you can use these for that too then. And one thing to be aware of when you're massaging, try not to bump them together so they're getting that weird kind of sound. So it's almost like fingers on a chalkboard. Just got to be careful of that then. So again, you're just moving it back and forth then. And you can even kind of vibrate too with these. These work really nice for the rectors here, but you got to be aware where the vertebrae is. So you're going to put it right in between the rectors and the vertebrae and kind of bring it right over that. Kind of helps relax the rectors there. Or you can perform both at the same time, going up those areas. And these work really nice right around the shoulder. So you're just going to go right around. And you want to make sure that there's not too much oil on these, because what happens is they can slip off then if you got too much oil on there. But you don't want so less oil where it's not going to move it all then. In techniques, you can even go down and around too with these. But again, just beware of the bony landmarks, just to be safe. And if you ever injure yourself, these tools work awesome. The reason because is, let's say you jammed your thumb or something, you're using these kind of tools as your thumb for a little bit deeper pressure. But myself, especially when I'm working on the back area, I want to make sure the hands are exposed, because if there's ever too much pressure, the fingers are going to curl in. Or the toes, those are the two biggest areas where it's going to curl in then that way. For arm area, you can even hold it like this. As you can see here, you can even come up. Or another option, just like structural integration, like a deep tissue technique, you're just slowly going up. If you want, you can even go really slow in those areas. But just make sure the client's aware is if there's ever tingling sensation, make sure that you back off the technique and try something else, so you're not impinging any nerves with these. Because it's harder to gauge the pressure is what it does with these bamboo tools. So it's just like when you're using your elbows, it's a lot harder to feel the pressure. These you can even use for trigger point therapy if you want. So you can even hold an area if you need to. Or just like shiatsu in a way, you can just compress on the areas of the body, but again, not tons of pressure, just to a point of a little discomfort. And be careful again in the kidney region. But these work so nice, you're just kind of rolling back and forth. And be aware again of the vertebrae. And if you need to, you can just go back and forth like this. So it's kind of like a heat friction is what I'm using. And if you want a long technique, you can even use it into your forearm. But again, you can use two of them at the same time. Or you can just use one and just hand following hand if you want. And you can even slide up, as you can see here. You can slide up and around. The really nice thing about these tools, it's like a steamroller though, so it's evening out all these areas. If somebody's ticklish, more than likely this treatment's going to be a lot better for them. And an option, if you really love hot stones, you can incorporate hot stones into this treatment, so you can call it sticks and stones massage. So something kind of corny in a way, but it's something new. I haven't seen it advertised at all, but you can give that a shot too. So when you're massaging, you can have a stone in one hand, a stick in the other hand, or sticks for a while, and then incorporate with the hot rocks then. And another option too is you can heat up these sticks a little bit. And a great way to heat up the sticks is just like a towel warmer. Just take the towel out with its warm, and just the warm towel, and just wrap it around this, so it keeps a little bit warm. So you're not going to destroy any of the kind of properties with this when you just put it directly in the towel warmer or the crock pot or those kind of things. But just have a warm towel, put it on there, but that's what you're going to use. Or if you need to, you can use the half and the full short ones. You could even kind of roll like this and just bring it around. But again, right around the iliac crest area, or anything with low back problems. And you can even hold on to it like this too, to get those areas. And I myself, right around the neck area, works out really nice. And when you go up, you can kind of hook it right underneath the suboccipital ridge. So again, that's where a lot of headaches start. But again, be aware of the vertebrae here. You can go right around this area too. Okay, again, I'm going to use some like shiatsu techniques. So I have them like this, just compressing the body. And if you want, you can go 3 or 4 times down these areas. Or you can alternate them. And all these techniques are for demonstrational purposes, so this is not a full body routine in any sense. So all these techniques you can incorporate into each other. And you can even kind of roll it too. Or you can even, like this, and it's better just to stabilize it a little bit, just have your hands around there, just in case it is too oily, so it's not going to slip. And with this, as long as you have enough oil, you can even circular friction and kind of glide up. But again, if you're going to make tools of your own, just make sure that they're really smooth at the ends and rounded. With the palm, what you can do is you can just hold it here, and you can even kind of rotate it back and forth, or just back and forth, as you can see here, just back and forth. And people that are at computer desks all day long, or carpenters, or mechanics, people that use their hands a lot, are going to benefit from this a lot more then. Another option, and go right up the forearm. But let me show you how easy it is to kind of slip too. So let's say you're going like this, and you can easily slip off this. So that's why you make sure you're not using tons of oil, but just enough so you're not going to slip then. And if you want, you can use 2 again. So you're holding it like this. So it works with nice with the arms. But just be careful of right here, the medial epicondyle of the humerus, right here. So make sure, again, bony areas. And that's why you can just go right around that like this, kind of rocking it, or lift it up a little bit and then glide. And if you want a little bit more pressure, you can use more of the flat side. But again, make sure you're not pinching areas. So when you're getting so close to the bony areas, that's when you're more likely going to pinch them. So back off on the pressure, or roll it, and then come back then. But as you can see, I can just hold it with my finger and get pressure that way really nice. And if you want any kind of deportment, and then remember, back off on here. But you can even use deportment, but I'm not hardly using any pressure. I'm still keeping that rhythm. And then the non-bony areas you can get a little bit deeper then. And right between the fingers you can go. And you can even kind of stretch out the palm. Use the tools. So this is all. It all depends on if the client wants these all the time, or if they want a little bit of massage. You can incorporate a little massage into there with your actual hands. So again, if you want, if they're okay with it, you can incorporate these different things into them. And again, there's some people call this bamboo massage. Other ones call it rattan massage. Otherwise, sticks massage. But you can just think of different kind of terms to use with this. But the biggest problem is this is not true bamboo. It's actually rattan. So you're not, even though it sounds cool with the whole bamboo aspect, you're not actually using bamboo tools. Unless you use a little bit of bamboo with it, then you can call it those kind of techniques then. And some people I've seen that they just use regular wood and just make these kind of things out of them. Just a regular wood. It still will work as long as it's smooth, and as long as there's more of a satin finish on there, of course, and smooth all over. And you can go in the back of the hand too this way, and you can go right in between the fingers. But again, make sure it's not too much on the jagged edges there, so a little bit up, so you're not going to slice them at all. We're going to be using this one on the body. As you can compare, so it's quite a bit longer there. And we're going to use this. And this is one of the main tools that you can use. As you can see, you can kind of glide in the body and right around the shoulders, of course. And this is a really nice technique. I'll just demonstrate it on here, even though it's not proper body mechanics. I'm going to kind of dig it into the table a little bit. You can kind of go back and forth like this. I'm going to hook it right around the iliac crest area. But I'm going to be using it on this side for proper body mechanics. But you're just going to hold your hand right down here, so you're not pinching in any of the skin at all. Or you can place your hand like this. Okay, other options, just like we use with the smaller ones, but you can use it the whole length, or almost the whole length of the rectors here. And just make sure you're not gripping the tools too tight. So if you feel yourself shaking, then you're holding on to the tools too tight then, and then you can eventually injure yourself too. So just make sure you're massaging with a kind of a loose wrist. So you can even go around. But as you're seeing, I'm going over the vertebrae, but I'm backing off the pressure. So I can make a fluid technique. And anytime I'm going over the vertebrae, I'm backing off. I'm just being aware of that then. One that I'll use, like right here in the iliac crest, quadris laborum area. I'll just hold it, kind of go back and forth, just like a ratchet. So you can even call a lot of these techniques ratchet techniques. But whatever you perform on one side of the body, just make sure you perform it on the other side of the body too, so they're more evened out. So again, you can even roll. And it's a little bit awkward, as you can see. It's a lot longer. So these smaller ones are a lot easier to roll, as you can see. But it is possible to use these for rolling. And you can even kind of just let it roll. Or you can roll up too. Okay, you can vibrate. Or use a tapotment. But with the tapotment, I'm not striking the body really, I'm just lifting it up. Just tapping it up. Or you can tap it down to make those kind of techniques too. And it makes a nice, cool sound. So it's a little bit tribal. And with this, I'm going to go right around the scapula. Make sure you're not putting a lot of pressure on the scapula, of course. So that's the main thing with these kind of tools, is make sure you're not using a lot of pressure on bony areas. You can even go back and forth. But again, when I'm going over the vertebrae, I'm not adding any pressure. Or you can go just kind of the one hand right here is just one place. The other one kind of like a windshield wiper. And you can even use a little bit of heat friction with this. Or if you don't want the body to move as much, place your hand right here. And then friction up and down. And again, you can even vibrate. But just make sure your hand is more relaxed when you're vibrating. Or again, you can use both hands. But this tool is one of your main ones. And some people, what they'll do is they'll have a couple of these. So one like this and one just like this half right here. So it's half the whole thing here. So it's another option. But these are a little bit easier to use than the longer ones I'll be eventually showing you. But this is definitely the trick of the trade right here, is this kind of techniques with these kind of tools then. And even with the rotator cuff area, you just kind of roll with your hands. And this looks like a lot of pressure, but it's not. So I'll go in slow motion like this. This is what I'm doing. And if you want, you can even slide a little bit too, performing at this. But just imagine how cool this would be out in public if somebody had a swimsuit on and you're using these kind of techniques. And I definitely have everybody watching you for these. Okay. Just rock it back and forth. You can kind of even them out. But again, that's why you want everything as smooth as possible. Okay, another option, I'm going to place, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the corner here. I'm going to sit on the edge of the table like this, wrap this over here, and so you can lift up the shoulder a little bit. But again, the smaller ones would work even better too. You want to use those right in this area. And you can even get the tricep really nice. But that's why I have the sheet here covering my pants, so I'm not going to get oil on my pants too. And it just feels a little bit comfortable for them too if you just lift that up like that. So especially for women, so the breast tissue doesn't get exposed then. And you can even hold it like this. And not all therapists believe in sitting down on the table like this, but if your client feels okay with it, that's why you want to ask permission for this then. But it gives you a nice little break then. Okay, let me go back to this tool here then. So what we're going to do here is you can get down a little bit like this. We're going to go under like this and this, and then you can use the rattan stick this way. So you're going right through the rhomboid area, right through the traps, or if you want, you can kind of lift up the arm so you're getting some of the tricep and the back at the same time then. Or you can even roll it like this. Or again, you can kind of bring the arm down and go right up the traps. But if you want deeper pressure, that's when you're going to slow it down more. So it's like a ratchet technique. Or you can go right through there like this. Or another option is just rotating the arm. And you can use the smaller sticks too, so that's why you want to experiment with many different sizes and see what's more comfortable for you. But this is the one I love the best. Great size. You can use it for many different areas of the body. And this one you can just stay in one area and just keep rocking it back and forth to help loosen up the triceps here. So again, you can hold on to it with your forearm and go right through there. And if you're ever using any deeper pressure, again, just slow it way down. Because with deeper work, if you're going really fast, the body's going to tense up more likely to injure them. So that's why you're going to go really slow with the deeper work. And again, be aware that you're not going to hit the person in the head anytime. So you can see it's really easy, so you just got to be more aware of when you're massaging. But again, right around the suboccipital ridge. And you can even kind of roll it up and down. And don't be afraid to get on your knees every now and then too. So it's all about the body mechanics. Make sure you're not bending with your back a lot. So when you need to get into these smaller areas. And some people will sit down a little bit, but make sure you don't sit down a lot, because you can get used to that. And the big problem with that is you're more likely to twist your body or even bend with your back when you're sitting down all the time. And this is only really good for the shoulder area, but it's so much easier in the shoulder area to get into. And you can roll again right on the traps, or at the arms too, or at the back. And this technique that was showed earlier, you can use this too for like the lower back. And you can even kind of get a little bit of rhythm going with it too. And if you have the beat of the music going, it'd be really nice. So make sure you're not playing any really fast music. And what I'm going to do here is with the arm, you can rock it a little bit. And you can kind of roll it slowly, like this. Get it more towards the axillary region, and then just give it a little pull. Roll it, and then pull it. Roll it, and then pull it. Or, you can place the hand back here, and you can get right on the forearm there, the flexor side. So it's a little bit better angle for you. And right in the palms too. You can go right through the palms with this. But if you think you're going to, let's say, bump the arm like this, you can have them move their arm over here to the side, so it's a little bit easier for this then. But again, you can hold it like this and go right through the hand for here then. A really nice technique for using this too is you can place their hand right behind their head like this, lift up here, you can go right through the traps, so you're stretching out the pecs a little bit, so the anterior part of the body. It's the same length as a long one here, but again it's just half the size, so it's basically cut down in the middle. And this one would honestly be better if it would be cut like right in half, so then you can even use two of them to hold on at the same time then. So I'll show you this, but again, longer one, it's a little bit harder, so you can use two like this when massaging. And again, traps, especially for women, concentrate on that area a lot. For males, more lower back problems. That's where areas you want to concentrate on more. And you can go right on the traps again, and the triceps right here. So traps to triceps. Okay, let's go for the foot area. For the foot area, with the calcaneus right here, you have to use a little bit more pressure in order for them to feel things usually. But unless they have like plantar fasciitis or heel spurs, don't use too much pressure in that area because they can send shooting pain up their leg too, so just be aware of that. So with this, I'm going to use the small round one. Just go back and forth. This is basically like when you're at home, if you're going to roll your foot on a golf ball or an old glass Coke bottle. So that's what it's going to kind of feel like for this area then. And you can use this for a little bit more pressure. Some people will use a T-bar, so it's two wooden dowels, like this, and then there's a rubber stopper at the end, and you can get into pressure that way too. But you can just kind of roll it back and forth if you need, or again, roll it back on the foot, usually feels the best. And again, right on this area. Then for the half ones, if you want a little bit more direct pressure, and you can hold the foot like this, and again you're going to place it in your hand back and forth. Or again you're going to hold it like this if you want a little bit more direct pressure. But again, watch the toes. That's a big area where they're going to tense up if it's ever too much pressure. And you can get the dorsal side of the foot here too. And you can even go through the toes a little bit. But again, just make sure it doesn't feel like you're cutting them. Or you can place one here, one on here. So you're kind of stabilizing it, or you can massage a little bit, both sides. But on the dorsal side here, make sure you're not using as much pressure. There's not as much muscles in that region. Or again, you can just bring it this way. And you can even make a reflexology treatment just out of using these sticks on the foot then. And if you want to use the bigger one, you can go back and forth, or kind of roll it, or kind of shimmy it. But right on the calcaneus too. If you want, you can kind of have a little rhythm to it too. Okay. Okay, for the leg area, we just got to be aware of this is the main area, the popliteal area right here, that we're not going to use a lot of pressure. So if we're going to use any kind of development or deeper work, make sure you're not pressing really hard there, because this is the only major collection of lymph nodes in the posterior part of the body. Also, there's a lot of nerves and stuff that run through here too. There's actually a posterior tibial nerve that can run through there, and if it's impinged, it can give like carpal tunnel-like syndromes, but it's actually called tarsal tunnel syndrome, where the foot kind of goes numb. So if that gets impinged, so always with when you're going to warm up the area, maybe it might be a good idea to massage a little bit with your hands to get oil or cream or whatever you're using all over the body then in that area. And then we can start using the tools in. So in general, you want to go towards the heart with as much pressure, but if you're just going here and there, it's not as big a deal. But again, longer techniques, and especially deeper techniques, make sure you're going towards the heart as much as you can. And this one, as you can see, I'm just kind of rolling it. So I'm not going like this at all, I'm just kind of dragging it. But if you want both, you can use both then. Or you can alternate. Or you can be on this side and roll them up this way then, okay? And again, when I went over the popliteal area, I backed off in pressure. So just rolling back and forth. Or you can just kind of glide too. So I'm just going to glide with these. Right up this area. Or more shiatsu-like if you want. Again, we're going to hold them like this. Or some people, if you want a little bit more stimulating, even Chipotle-like. Or you can even kind of roll it like this. With the calf area right here, the gastrocnemius, soleus, people that are on their feet all day long, that's going to be the most tender. So just be aware of the pressure, make sure it's not too much. Even communicate, but again, with the fingers or the toes exposed, you can see if it's ever too much pressure then. Or you can even use your forearm. So you're massaging yourself a little bit, but you're not going to tell the client that, of course, but you're benefiting from it too then. And you can use, again, these, but these stay in your hands a lot better too. As you can see here, I'm just holding it, but you're going to notice if it's not enough pressure or not enough oil, your hands it's going to slip like this. So that's why make sure there's just enough, but not so much that your hands are going to slide and the tools are going to fall out then. We can go both, or more broadening techniques too. So we're going to go more broadening with this. The nice one is like this. Again, this is my favorite tool here. And as you can see, I can do the switch around. Again, back and forth. You can even roll it. So some of the techniques that you can incorporate on the back, you can incorporate on the leg area too. So again, if you want more development, you're just tapping the stick. And back off again with the popliteal area, where you can kind of vibrate too. Or you can have a big and a small one. But again, if they're both the same size for length, it'd be even easier to hold on to. You might want to check your tools every day too and make sure they're smooth all the time. Or the small one, as you can see, it's actually rolling. Okay? Okay. Or you can go like this. Just planting right here. So again, I'm not using the best body mechanics, but just for you guys to visually see. And you can even place your hand like this. So you can get the biceps femoris right here, the back hamstring muscle. Okay, or you're just going to roll it right here in the hamstrings, especially for guys. That's where you want to concentrate on more, is the hamstring region. But again, you can use even your whole forearm for this area too. Or you can kind of roll it back and forth. Again, less pressure with the popliteal. Or you can go just like a your shooting pool. Or you can hold it. You can rotate it around. And another option for the legs, you can incorporate both legs into it at the same time. So I'm going to drape this area. And with this, we're going to use the longer ones. And as you can see here, you can get both legs at the same time then. If you want, you can just lift it up a little bit when you're going, or you can kind of walk the body too with the sticks. And the nice thing is like this, but that's why the big ones are more beneficial. And again, I'm rolling it on my forearm too a little bit so you can help yourself out during the massage too. Or you can do two at the same time. Or same direction if you want, or opposite direction like I showed you before. Or you can come like this, come down, back and forth. Or just one goes up, the other one goes down. You can go right around all the way to the TFL region. And with the actual deportment, you can perform it like this, kind of lighter, but you can hold it over here. Just make sure you know where the endangerment sites are. You can use a little bit more pressure then. Again, be aware of bony areas. So that's some deportments, or is like a lub dub. Or you can go like this too. But again, the hardest thing about this, it feels better like this, but you want to know where the endangerment sites are so you're not using pressure on those areas then. For the glute region, some people will incorporate the leg into the glute area, or you can just isolate just the glute area all at one time. So again, the other one where we went over the lower back area, you plant your hands and go right through there. But you just got to be aware of the greater trochanter. Make sure you're not putting a lot of pressure there, or they can feel like a deep bruise is what it's called. So they can have a bruise there, and it's deep, and it's pretty painful for a while. So make sure you isolate where that is, and you can use these different kind of techniques on the gluteal region. So again, the gluteus maximus is at least an inch thick, so you can use a little bit more pressure sometimes in that area. And a lot of lower back pain is the gluteus medius right along there. So you can even kind of rotate it back and forth like this then, okay? Or you can perform like trigger point therapy, hold it there for a moment. And again, you can use small round ones. But again, beware of the greater trochanter and also the iliac crest here too. And again, you can incorporate hands into this area, or even the lower back into this area too. So it all depends how you want to drape it then. So again, if you want, you can even use two at the same time too. Or, again, you can use the smaller ones, the ones that fit in your hand even better. You can go right around there too. And again, the longer ones, a little bit harder, but it is possible in this area. And if you want a little bit more pressure, you can hold it there, or you can have your hand to the side so you know where the danger sites are, so you're not using as much pressure then. So you're kind of using this as the guidance, is what you're using, and using your hand as. And it's still going to feel good for them too, even though you're using your hand. So. Or you can kind of just go up the hams, let it right around. So right around that area then. But again, if you want a little deportment in there too, you can kind of tap it. And it's not too of an annoying sound. So any repetitions like this too, the longer you perform it, the more relaxed it sounds then. Even massage with the clothes on. So it is possible for a lot of these techniques you can massage with the clothes on or with the sheet on. You can even incorporate this into a chair massage too, so that's just a different option if you want to use these sticks. So it looks really cool out in public. And what they'll use for deportment, they'll have a stick like this or even half the diameter, and then wrap a towel around this, like a hand towel, and use some rubber bands for this, so you can use it as deportment then, so it kind of softens the blow is what it does then. So again, you can even massage the body with the sticks too for that. Okay, now we're going to go into the face with the rattan sticks. With this, I just washed them, so you just don't want any oil on there. Or some people will start in this position, so you don't have to worry about anything with oil on there. So with this one, you just got to be a little bit slower. And you can even use both of them. You can even roll it back and forth. And with the forehead too area, there's not too much you can use with these, but if they want a full body rattan massage, you're going to have to incorporate it somehow then. Or even better, if you use these halves right here. And some people only have these a little bit cooler for the face. So some people like a little bit colder to tighten up the skin a little bit more. Or you can even use the flat part. Or again, you can use the flat part in the whole face like this, or right around the mandible. Make sure that they don't have braces, so you don't want to go too close to their mouth area if they do have braces. And you can even get into the hair area. And if you want, you can use a little bit of the edge. So it almost feels like a little pull. So some people like that when you pull the hair a little bit. Helps stimulate the nerve endings. And you can even use kind of lighter techniques. You can even go a little bit faster if you're using lighter, of course. You can make some cool designs. So the main thing is don't poke them in the eye. And make sure you have your other tools close to you too. Or let's say you're going to incorporate the other one, so I'm going to go like this and have the other one really close, so you're always keeping contact with the body as much as you can then. Another option, what we're going to do is we're going to turn the head like this, and you can kind of roll it right underneath the suboccipital ridge. And the other hand is kind of stabilizing the head, but I'll demonstrate like this. I'm just stabilizing the head and then using the other one over there. But try not to put your finger in their ear, of course, or don't cover it up. It's just a weird sensation and weird feeling. But right here, it feels really nice, right on the suboccipital ridge. And you can even kind of roll it on this whole area too. Again, you can go up and down, or you can kind of hook it like this. But again, if you want deeper work, just go slower. It might be a good idea to have the hand exposed, so if it's ever too much pressure, their fingers are going to tense up then. Okay, another option we can do is you can kind of lift up the head a little bit, put this underneath here, and then you can use both at the same time, but again, not on the vertebrae. So again, the back of the neck area, one of the better feelings for headaches. And this stuff you don't have to put the oil on, that's what's nice about it too. Or for the pec area, you just kind of compress like this, or you can just kind of roll it back and forth. But just be aware of, for women, where the breast tissue is, so if it's larger breast tissue, make sure you're not rolling on that at all. Just going back and forth then. Remember the upper pec area, that's where we're getting more, so just underneath the clavicle, that's the area where I'm going after that. So again, you can use a lot of techniques with the sheet on too, or with the clothes on too, just different options. But then you're not going to use the oil, of course. For the antecubital right here, want to make sure you're not using a lot of pressure right there. Or the medial lateral epicondyle, the humerus, make sure you're not using a lot of pressure there. Or right on this area. So the styloid process of the radius and styloid process of the ulna, make sure you're not using a lot of pressure in those areas. So let's start with the rolling one, small one. So some of the techniques that we use on the posterior part of the body, you can use on the anterior. You can either roll back and forth, of course. Or you can use, again, the half one. Again, this one stays a lot better in the hand. That's what's so nice about this one. And if you want, again, you can have two. And try to more pressure towards the heart if possible. You can go away from the heart a little bit less pressure if possible. But if you go deeper pressure away from the heart, it's not going to hurt them at all. Just try to, again, more pressure towards the heart as much as you can then. Okay, another option, you can even have the bend. You can even rotate it out like this. You can just place it right in your hand. And another option would be too is if you had a few pieces of the strings, you can even place your fingers right in there, so they'll stay in no problem. So there are just different options if you want to incorporate into it. And you can get right at the tricep region. And this next one, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go like this. Okay, so I'm holding it, lifting it up, You can even go right around the bicep, the brachioradialis region, pec minor, pec major, and get in there with this then. Some other ones, you can use the big stick, not the biggest one, but my favorite one, of course. So you can just kind of roll on the arm. Again, the antecubital right here, the anterior elbow. Make sure not a lot of pressure there. And you can even go back and forth. Or you can bring the arm, go like this. Again, beware that you're not going to hit them in the face, of course. Okay, or you can just put it underneath of them and just roll it back and forth this way too. You can even lift it up while you're rotating the arm. Okay. But with the palm, again, you can use the smaller ones like this to get into the palm area. And with a full body treatment, if you're going like an hour-long treatment, you can even just spend like 20 minutes on the anterior part of the body just to touch those areas a little bit. So again, the back part of the body, the posterior part, you're going to spend a lot more time on there. Now we're going to go to the abdominal region. So I'll show you how to drape the chest area. So with this one, we're going to put the arm underneath like this. I'm going to bring it down just to the start of the breast tissue area. I'm going to hold here like this, roll it up like this. Drop everything, but just hold the ends here and here, like this, like this. Flip it over like this. Then I'm going to bring this down right to the hips, right here. And just flip it over once, because it stays a lot better then. And if you put their arm outside of there, it will stay perfect then. And with this, we're going to do a Roman drape. So we're going to tuck it like this. Then again, you can go to the other side, bring out the arm like this. And you can tuck it. Again, it's going to stay a lot easier then. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just warm up the abdominal region with some massage cream or massage oil, whatever you want to use. In the direction of the colon, clockwise. Try to use more clockwise techniques as much as you can. And I'm going to use my small round. Just go the direction of the colon. So even though I'm going back, I'm just going lighter pressure, but deeper pressure. Clockwise, of course. And you can even use the small halves if you need to. Go right around the iliac crest. And again, whatever you perform on one side of the body, make sure you perform it on the other side of the body too to even them out in the real world then. You can even go right around the diaphragm, so right around the rib cage here, and then here too, so both ways. Or if you want, you can go both like this. Use two tools right around the diaphragm area. You can use this for the larger. So again, it's not the biggest stick. It's my favorite, so you can just go back and forth a little bit. And in the abdominal area, I'm not going to use a lot of pressure, just a little bit, moderate if that, because there's so many vital organs in this area, so you just got to be careful of it. That's the main thing. And you can even go right around the iliac crest too, if you want. But if you think you're going to pinch the arm at all, what you're going to do is you're going to place this just below their breast tissue, of course. You can even go rock it back and forth. So I go like this, but again, it's basically going like this, but I have my hand underneath it there, so you can demonstrate it that way. Another option, come to the other side, and we can go underneath here. So just make sure it's not right at the vertebrae, of course. So you're just going to go back and forth. You can even go up and down, or you can even kind of lever it up then this way too. But again, just make sure you place your hands underneath there first to make sure it's not on the vertebrae, of course. Again, you can just lift it up, or you can place your hand underneath there too, so it doesn't make those sounds as much. Again, you can just bring it out. Okay. Okay, now we're going to use these small round ones on the leg. The areas to be aware of are the tibia bone right here, so it's directly center, and the patella. So those are the two main areas on the leg that you don't want to use a lot of pressure. So if their hip and leg kind of externally rotate a little bit, it's a little bit easier. So you can use more the medial side of the calf here, so you can massage those areas too. Or you can use both, of course, right in the quads. You can just go back and forth then. Or you can even just slide again. So a lot of techniques you can perform on the posterior part, you can get on the anterior part too. So again, these work really nice. This, again, we're going to use, you can again roll it if you want like this, or you can just hold it so it's not going to roll. And that's when you're going to use more pressure. So make sure you've got enough oil in there. Make sure it's not so much, again, that you're going to slip. Or you can go like this, just back and forth, like this then. And you can even hold it like this, just let it roll. You can see there. So you get more of the calf area. But medial and lateral malleolus region right here, the ankle bones, make sure you don't put a lot of pressure there too. So just make sure you're aware of those areas. So again, you can feel like a deep bruise. Again, you can just kind of glide like this, or you can kind of lift up the leg a little bit. And what we're going to do with this one is just kind of tuck it under. And for demonstrational purposes, I'm going to just have the person hold right here. Otherwise, you can tuck it under really good. You're just going to sit on the edge of the table like this and hook it. And you can get all areas: hamstrings, quads, the TFL, the adductors, in this kind of position. Or you can use your other tools and this too. So again, if you don't have a lot of time, you're running out, you need to incorporate all these areas on the body, this is a great way to incorporate them into it. So for the foot area, again, you can use this round small tool, any parts. So some people are ticklish when they're using more just their fingertips, but if you're going to use a little more pressure to start with, and I myself, I like working on the foot more in the posterior position when they're laying face down, but it is possible a little bit like this. So again, you're going to have to use more pressure like this for that. And even on the top of the foot, but the top of the foot usually doesn't feel as good because there's not as much muscles in that region. So you can just kind of slide in between the tendons is what you're doing then. It feels a lot better that way. Or right on the side here, so the lateral side, or the medial side, the arch. That's where a lot of people have problems, is the arch area. You can just roll it back and forth or roll it up and down. Another option, you can use the long one if you want. So it just feels like an endless technique when you're using this kind of long technique then. You can rotate your hand a little bit each time you use it, so especially for the arch area. And if you want, you can kind of slow it down. And just be creative. That's what you want to do with these kind of sticks, so you yourself don't get bored. And again, not everybody's going to like these, but it is definitely a different option. It's kind of new in the massage field. Might help get you a name for yourself in your community, that you're using something else. So it's a name recognition, of course. And you can use like a heat friction, like this. Again, if you want some deportment, you can kind of tap the back of it like this. Or you can just kind of hold, and just kind of rotate around then too. Or just in one area, too, with the foot.